Welcome. My name is William J. Rothwell. You can call me Bill. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something that's very popular in the succession planning and talent management world. I refer, of course, to the well-known 9-box grid. If you're not familiar with the 9-box grid, it's very easy to learn about it. There are many YouTube videos on this topic. There are many websites that describe it, and I cover it in my book, Effective Succession Planning. However, I would mention that there are other ways to think about the 9-box grid. But first, let me give you the background. What is the 9-box grid? Well, when we do succession planning, typically we look at least two things. First, we look at the worker's past and present job performance. How well has he or she done his or her job in the past? Many organizations think that's all they need to worry about. They think that performance management by itself will indicate whether a worker is promotion ready, because many organizations, unfortunately, believe that promotions are a reward for past job performance. So if you're a good soldier, you've been loyal to the company, you have a lot of seniority, and your boss's job comes open, a lot of workers believe that the company owes them the promotion simply because they have seniority and simply because they are loyal workers who did not resign and go to some other organization. Well, I'm here to tell you that the 9-box grid indicates that that is not the correct way to think about succession planning or promotions. The 9-box grid is created by creating a grid. One side indicates present and past job performance, and along the top you have promotion potential. Promotion potential is future oriented. And when you create a high, medium, and low on both sides of performance and promotion, and you have a rigorous method for evaluating performance management, and you have a rigorous way of assessing future promotion potential, then you can conduct two assessments, one for job performance and a second for assessing promotion potential. So when we look at job performance, most companies have a performance management system. Fewer companies have a robust, rigorous promotion potential assessment, and maybe several assessments. It gets more rigorous the more we have, and of course it's more expensive if we have more and more rigorous assessments. So when you plot an individual's scores on the 9-box grid, an individual who has high present and past job performance and high future promotion potential is an individual we call a high potential. And that should be about 1 to 10% of the company's total workforce. The rest of the workers are distributed throughout the grid. And once we know where the individual is positioned on the grid, that tells us what HR strategy we should follow with that individual. For example, a high potential would be someone that we would be willing to invest money in. And yes, the 9-box grid is an investment grid that indicates who we're likely to get the best return on investment by investing money in their future development. So consequently, if the individual has low job performance and low promotion potential, well, then they become a target for either being moved somewhere else in the organization to see whether it is them or their job and their boss that is causing their low score. If it turns out it's them, then they become a target for downsizing. If it turns out that they are with the wrong boss or in the wrong job, then their score may change. So the 9-box grid is quite powerful in giving us indications of how we should develop our workers and where to invest our money before we spend the money and have managers ask us afterward about the return on investment or ROI. But I want to add another point about the 9-box grid that maybe you have not heard. All of what I've just said is pretty much common knowledge in a lot of places, but here's something new to think about. We can change what's on that 9-box grid. And instead of rating people against present job performance and future promotion potential, we can substitute other things for future promotion potential. What might we substitute? One thing is knowledge of value to the company. And another is, we could indicate, would be social reach or social network of the individual. And the third thing we could substitute for promotion potential is alignment with company ethics and or values. So there could be multiple things that we could use that 9-box grid for. Let me explain. Again, the 9-box grid is traditionally performance versus potential. But we could leave performance alone and substitute other things for promotion potential if we wanted different information and different assessment results. For example, we could put alignment with company values instead of promotion potential on the 9-box grid, and that would indicate which individuals are aligned best with our company's value systems. We know today a lot of companies have value statements, but how do they enforce those? How do they assess those? Quite often they don't. So that raises questions about just how well they are care about their value system. Same thing with company ethics and alignment with code of conduct. We can leave job performance on the 9-box grid and substitute code of conduct alignment or alignment with ethical requirements as another axis on the 9-box grid, and then evaluate people for how well they comply with company codes of conduct and with our ethical requirements. Why would we do that? Did you know that every one of the Fortune 500 companies has had at least one ethical problem in the last 10 years? That's right. Every Fortune 500 company has had at least one scandal in the last 10 years. So it raises the question, why aren't we assessing high potential workers against ethical requirements in our company code of conduct? I ask you that question. Why aren't we? The danger is we might start promoting criminals. Is that really what we want our succession planning program to result in? I don't think so. So you see my point. There can be other applications. One final one I will mention is performance on one side of the 9-box grid. On the other side, knowledge relevant to the company's competitive advantage. And that is specialized knowledge. And if we use that grid, which can be quite important with knowledge workers, we can identify who are our high professionals. We call them high pros, not to be confused with high potentials, although managers frequently do confuse the two. A high potential is an individual who's doing a good job where they are, and we believe, based on assessment data, that they would do a good job if they were promoted. But an individual with specialized knowledge linked to our company's competitive advantage, that person is different. That may be our best salesperson for a specific kind of sale or a specific step in the sales cycle. And as a result, the individual who demonstrates that might look like they are a high potential, but in reality, they're demonstrating all of the requirements of a specialist who's got specialized knowledge. And that approach works very well with engineers, with research scientists, with other so-called knowledge workers. So I leave you to think about this. What is the best use in your company for the 9-box grid? Should it be just for succession planning to determine people eligible for vertical promotions, or could there be other applications of that 9-box grid that would give us better and perhaps different ratings that we could use for developing people for other purposes than promotion? I ask you to think about that. I find it a compelling thought. Thank you for listening.